Well, the typical visitor to Belize, they always would look at blue Belize in terms of the oceans, the coastline, the Keys. But there's another part of Belize, which are the Maya Mountains, the beautiful mountains that we have, and we challenge people to come and see it because it really gives you a wonderful aspect on what the country in its entirety is all about.
Welcome back. And just in case you needed a little bit of a tease as to what this conversation is going to be about, you just saw the trailer for the Maya Mountain Challenge. This was a challenge done last year, and it's actually been made into a film. So we're joined by Doug Kreitzer, filmmaker of this particular Maya Mountain Adventure Challenge. We're joined by Julia Pullock, race director, and we still have on set from FCD, Rafael Manzanero and Gliss Pinados. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning. Good morning. Glad to be here.
Now, I have to start off with a bit of a background on the challenge. So we're going to go to Rafa and Gliss and talk about how long this challenge has actually been taking place.
Well, the first one and the only one that we have done so far was in 2014, so that was last year. It happened during the month of February. And of course, before that time, we had met with Doug and his wife here, and the idea was for us really to take him into the area. And so we wanted really for them really to take a first experience in the Chiquibu Forest and the Maya Mountains at large in terms of looking at many of the protected areas. So that took basically 1 year of planning. And thus, you know, the recruiting and the promo and all of that really took quite some time, and that is really more, you know, the work that was done, you know, more externally more than here in Belize, although we actually did touch base with Belize Tourism Board and other institutions. But then eventually, you know, we managed really to put this thing together as a first experience. And so Doug and, you know, now the idea is to go in for 2016 for the second one. And so we are actually looking already, in fact, you know, he just arrived over the weekend, and for tomorrow, we are already going into the Chiquibu to look at the new route in terms of the new area where the adventure racers more than likely will be able to pass by next year, for February of next year.
How did this entire idea come about to have an I mean, listening to the story, to just gain access to the Chiquibu and to talk about a race, where did that come from, and is this the only one in the world that?
No, there's actually a World Series of adventure racing all over Europe, Africa, North America, South America, Central America, Australia, New Zealand. But I've been producing in the United States for more than a decade, these adventure races, competitions. But Julia and I came here 3 years ago this month on a vacation. I had no expectation of working or being enticed to work. But as we traveled about like normal tourists will do, I just became more and more encouraged and smitten by the beauty of Belize, and also by the people that we kept coming in contact with over and over again, which led me to Rafael's door. It was an impromptu meeting that I asked him to take, and he was kind enough to do so. And I think when I told him what I wanted to do, what we wanted to do, 200-mile race across the Maya Mountains unsupported, I think he thought maybe I was a little crazy, which maybe I am. But we knew we could do it. We had the experience doing it, and that was the first cornerstone in the foundation of what is now the Maya Mountain Adventure Challenge.
Now, as a tourist in Belize, we know that usually the places that you are told about are the tourist spots,
right,
and those are beautiful, but how did you even hear about the Chiquibu and imagine that that would be the best location for your adventure race?
This guy right here. He was the one that really, he was the liaison for Belize for us. He was the one that put us in contact with the good folks at Nietzsche and also at the Ministry of Forestry, the Film Institute. So he kept one after another taking the time to kindly introduce us to these people, which were all very supportive of what we were trying to do.
And Julia, you're the race director?
I am the race director.
Okay, so tell us a bit about how you put together the challenges.
Well, I've been racing myself for 12 or 13 years. This actually was my first foray into being a director of a race, right? So as a director, you try to take your own experience as a racer and what you think and what you believe will string together a race that is exciting, a race that is challenging, and then a race that allows you to appreciate the environment within which you're actually moving and racing, and that really is the goal for every race that I think we put together. And we were very much inspired by what we found here in Belize, and as Doug alluded to, we had an idea when we went to go see Raphael, but it wasn't. But Raphael helped us turn it into a reality, and Derek Chen as well gave us suggestions for where to route the course, and helped us really piece everything together. But what we ended up with was a fantastic blend of both what tourists see and the excitement and the real attractions of Belize, and also some very raw, natural wilderness that you can only experience here. Yeah.
So how do you go about recruiting for this kind of a race?
Teams? I mean, well, we're lucky to know some people who are as crazy as we are. But you know, Doug's been producing for a long time, and he's a former racer as well. I've been racing. It's a unique group of people. There is a World Series. There's also a North American Series, North American Adventure Racing Series. So there are teams that travel around the world and do just this, right? And they're people. It's a different group of athletes. They're very much athletes at the core, but they are the type of people who really want to become closer with the environment. And you know, a little bit about adventure racing, because I'm not sure that everyone really understands. It's been called an expedition on a stopwatch, right? So everything you just heard from Therese, you know, and Raphael about the expedition they were on, condense all of that into the span of 3 to 4 days without all the scientific.
Yeah.
Just move
But
it.
It's just getting
and
there.
it's right?
Yeah.
But we're taking the same tracks, right? And we're carrying everything on our backs. We're carrying our own food and our own water and our own safety and our own medical. And you expect the unexpected, right?
Yeah.
And you heard that earlier as well. But you have to deal with it only with what's on your back. And there's
And you say unsupported?
it's completely unsupported.
Yeah.
Right? So
So you don't have a ranger or somebody guiding you?
No, they navigate map and compass. They quite often get lost for a half a day, a day at a time. It's part of their challenge. It's part of the event. They have a very pioneering spirit. These are people who literally survive with just what's on their back, and it's a team of 4. In order to be professional, it's the only sport in the world where you have to be co-ed to be professional, to be elite. And they purify their own water, they navigate map and compass, they're completely self-contained, and they have this true pioneering spirit. They really want to go into these virgin places and the remote wildernesses with leaving everything that we know from the big city behind, and experience it in its purest form. It is the premier endurance sport on the planet by far. They'll do 2 or 3 marathons within this race with a pack on their back.
Well, from what we saw in the trailer, it's obviously just about all the adventure that you could get in 3 days.
Yeah.
That's really the duration of the challenge. Julie, tell us about at least some of the challenges that the teams had to endure.
Well, they weren't what we expected. I'll tell you that. But we expected heat to be an issue, and we got very lucky with the weather, and it was overcast a lot of the time. It actually, I think you'll remember last year in February, was raining a lot. So we had to deal with some high water. We personally, as producers and directors, had to alter the race course to make sure that we were putting racers in the safest situation possible. But the teams themselves, they don't sleep, right? So the team that won the race last year went, I think, 46 hours was there.
47 almost hours.
Almost 47 hours
Without
sleeping, without stopping.
At a very
right?
high rate, pushing really, really hard.
Right, and so they have to deal with sleep deprivation. They have to deal with a lack of water if they can't find it. And I think later on in the race course, there was a trek that took us through the Chiquibul through on a jungle path, and there was very little water. And since it was late in the race, there were a lot of sleep issues, and so but that's where the team aspect really comes in, and so they're able to rely on each other to, if the navigator's feeling sleepy and can't sleep, somebody else can pick up the map and make sure that they're moving, they continue to move forward. But the challenges that they face also give them a strong respect for the environment that they are in, right? And so I think that's one of the things that the racers really are looking for, is making that connection and respecting in the world. And again, Therese said it earlier, is if you just look at it in pictures, it's just an infatuation. It's not until you're actually there that you fall in love with it, because you gain that respect. And not a lot of it is for the beauty, but in an instance like this, and even for days where they were out there and not bathing and but for these racers too, it's you need sleep. The environment in the jungle here, it can feed you when you're hungry. It can provide water for you when you're thirsty, and it can protect you when you need sleep or when you need shelter. It's all there, and it's all you need. You don't need to have that second set of clothes, right? You won't die if you don't shower, even though it may be
if you don't sleep for 47 hours.
Right? So, but it's having that respect that you can actually not take from the environment, but to receive, right? And that's what makes you love that environment.
So you guys tested out the entire trail before?
Yes.
We did.
Yeah.
Yes. we were the guinea pigs.
We did.
What was your favorite part?
Gosh.
That's tough.
Was it rappelling?
For
Was it
me,
rafting?
No, for me, it really has been the human experience. Honestly, it's been meeting the people that we've met along the way, and there are many of them. There are people in remote locations that we've run into that have been kind enough to take us and scout us around and give us little tips about trails up over the mountain, and it's been the human experience for me. I mean, that's really been the best part of it. I love canoeing on the Mopan. It was gorgeous river, good rapids.
The 4-member teams. You said a navigator, so I'm assuming that each person has a particular role?
They can. And I think if any strong team definitely has their roles doled out, like they have, and again, the expedition earlier said everyone went in and they understood what their role was and what they were supposed to do. And that's absolutely the same way it works here. And a lot of what they said can just be tailored to this situation, where you have a navigator who is holding the map and is directing, right? But you always have a backup that if something goes wrong or if they're not feeling well, someone can take over.
So they decide the strengths within
Right,
the team.
exactly.
So like if
Exactly.
William and Aaron on the team, he'll obviously do the map.
Yep.
So it's stuff like that. It's interesting because you team up with people like FCD, and this is their life. This is every day they figure out how to get to the top or into the deepest sinkhole. How did you use this relationship to help you in putting together the challenge?
Was just their intense knowledge of this vast wilderness. That was the key. I mean, we can be out there for years and years and years and not learn what they know because they've been doing it for a long time. So their intense knowledge of this landscape was really critical for our success, and we'll be moving forward. I really believe that adventure racing is a fantastic way, and I think the film will demonstrate this, to share the beauty of Belize with the world. And I believe that a natural resource is only as valuable as the value that is given to it by its owners, which are the citizens of Belize. And I've been all over the world. All over the world, I've been in the most remote wilderness. And this is a jewel. This is a jewel. And the value of it will not be known for generations to come. And I'm just so happy for the opportunity that the people of Belize have now with this resource. Because you're not going to know the value of it in a generation. It's going to be generations to come. And hopefully we can help just continue to bring people from around the world. We had people from Denmark, from Sweden, from Canada, from Ecuador.
Teams? How many teams in total did you have?
We had 16
teams, which is great for an expedition race.
16?
16, yeah. Especially for a first one, but it'll be much more this time. We'll have to tell people no.
You're going to have a limit, yeah, because you're already advertising.
We've got to manage it as well as we can. So
now that's an interesting thing, because you talk about it not being where the teams receive any kind of support. So how do you produce a show out of all of this? And I mean, it's not even controlled chaos.
It's not even controlled chaos. Our filmmakers are very talented and dedicated, and they understand going in there that not only do they have to carry their own water and food and their own first aid, but they have to carry their camera equipment as well and keep up and shoot film. It's crazy. Forget it. I can't turn a camera on, but the people that I work with are very good about what they do.
Some of the things we saw were amazing.
How big were your film crews that were along with each team?
Sometimes solo. Sometimes solo with their own
because
camera and light.
Because they have to keep shooting. They never, with
They're
reality
shooting.
TV, you never know what you're gonna.
Right.
They're shooting and running, and that's crazy. But they're very good at it. So thanks for them. I appreciate it. And you'll see, it's a very inspirational film.
Yeah. And I want to bring it over to FCD, of course, just for a bit to talk about, from your standpoint, helping and coordinating this particular challenge. Raf, last year you had told us about the challenge and how important it was for tourism and being able, once again, to get the awareness out there about the Chiquibu. But in terms of the practicality of it, what did it take from FCD to assist in this challenge?
Well, certainly the first thing that it really took us was the human resources. Like, for example, Derek and his staff, the rangers on the ground, to be able to start to do the mapping along with Doug, and really to look at the experience then on the ground, because we had to go on the ground and really to check everything. And mindful that this thing actually went beyond only the Chiquibu also, and that's why we call it the Maya Mountains, because it passed through the Mountain Pine Ridge, it passed through the Caracol, it passed through the Chiquibu, the Vaca Forest Resort, and it came back again to the San Ignacio area. So it was really 4 to 5 of the protected areas of the Maya Mountains. And so a lot of it was really the legwork, really to just go in and to show them, because they also had really to see basically the features of the areas. And after that, a lot of the logistics was really done through a whole volunteer or a whole set of volunteers that actually came in from Belize or either outside of Belize. So it was really a lot of the logistical work, but the logistics was really more through the volunteer force. So in reality for us, I think the partnership that we did with American Adventure Sport was one where we did not really use a lot of our manpower at the end. But we were there only to ensure if anything could have gone wrong, then we really had to be there really to rescue whatsoever. But we also got the support from the Belize Defense Force, and we also got support of BDART and other guys in the country. So that really made it really much more of a holistic, sort of a program of cooperation. This year the idea is now really to go into some of the other extreme wilderness zones, and in fact, one of the points that we might be able to go in, it all depends, would be the highest point, which is really an area where only a handful of people have gone. And
including Gliss, which is why he smiles when you say that.
Exactly, and Gliss has been actually twice already there. In fact, the first time when Gliss went there, he was, I don't know, about 18 years old in Gliss, because we had the Youth Environmental Action Group by then, and so they were the first ones who actually climbed this mountain. But a lot of Belizeans do not really understand these things, and so the idea is that if people cannot go, we'll have to bring it down by cameras only. So the idea of the videos and the footage, and so I think that for us the synergism is one where we can prove once again that the mountains in the wilderness zones of Belize can be, we can make this thing big.
Yeah.
And big really means also big ideas, So you had a telethon, you had a symposium, and because the Chickasaw has, all of these things to offer in a big way.
Yeah.
And so American Adventure Sport and the Adventure Racing is one where we can prove that there are people who really can do this. And I was really amazed, I was really amazed because we had a set of actually 2 of our rangers, which is the Chickasaw Grisons. I mean, that was the name of our team.
Oh, you had a team in there.
And yes, we actually had a team. And so our rangers know the ground, I mean, basically. But adventure racing is a whole new other set of things. And so they have
They're used to their sleep in between. The adventure racers,
exactly,
they forget that.
that's right. So it's a whole, I would say it's another dimension, right?
Yeah.
But it actually shows also that in terms of the Maya Mountains and the Chickasaw, it's actually there, So, and it does also have that other opportunity for recreational opportunities.
Now, what I hear from you, Doug, and also Julia, is that you, like many people who've come to Belize, came and fell in love with what you saw.
Yeah.
In the production that you've done, in the final film, how much is it all adventure racing, or have you really taken the time to be able to showcase what made you fall in love with Belize?
I think we did a really good job of showcasing what made us fall in love with the country of Belize, but also of trying to shed a light on the importance of protecting these resources. I don't care where it is in our world. Our world is small, and it's getting smaller. We all know that all the time. So it's even more important now as we move forward as a human race, right, that wherever we are, that we're taking our fair share of the responsibility for really nurturing this earth. And it's very small. I mean, people in the United States breathe the air that comes from this rainforest. People in the United States drink water that falls from the sky that comes from this rainforest. And it's important that we all take a personal part in that, whether it's using less water when we shower or using less plastic, whatever that may be, to do whatever we can, to help that along. But I think Julia said it the best as far as, how we wrapped everything together.
Yeah, I mean, it started off as a race, right? But the documentary is actually, the race takes a back seat to the story, and it's a film about how sustainable use can really be a vehicle for conservation, right? And education and awareness. And that's really the story behind the documentary. And in fact, I don't even think we get into the race until halfway through.
Yeah.
And we really surprised ourselves. I mean, and I tell Doug, we had this vision, right? And what came out of it was a product of everyone that was a part. I mean, at least 50 to 60 different, even, I mean, if you include all the racers, over 100, right? And we wouldn't have been able to do it without the support of everybody who was involved.
Right.
But we were able to very successfully turn that vision into a reality that now we can share with everybody else.
Yeah.
Now, you look at something, an undertaking like this, obviously, before you even start, you guys talked about actually doing the route yourselves. So you're talking about huge investment in terms of time and everything, and banking on so much.
A lot of sleepless nights. A lot of sleepless nights.
So do you, when you have your final product, do you still march it around at that point to try and get more support for it?
Absolutely.
Or how do you strike the balance between getting enough funds up front to chase this dream,
get started,
and then once you get it in your hand, to actually balance the story with the adventure, with so many other things, and then also the financing aspects of it?
We knew the first go-around financing it was going to be very tough and an independent prospect from our perspective, and it is hard when you're trying to finance something that you're passionate about and not go broke, but when you measure success, how do you measure it? What is our human legacy? What is our human legacy going to be? And I talk about that in the film. And one is, we want to produce a good event, and we did that. We want to bring people from all over the world to experience Belize and be inspired as we work. We did that. We want to bring awareness to the beauty of Belize. We did that. And we want to bring awareness to the challenges that Friends of Conservation Development faces, and why we should all be focused on those challenges, why it's important to everyone. I'm extremely excited for Belize. I'm so excited. And I'm amazed. I'm truly amazed by, we just touched the tip of the iceberg. And gosh, there's so much more out there that we don't even know about,
So let's talk about the response to the film. When you took it out trying to get a network to pick it up, and you told us before the show, before this segment, that you have been able to do so. So let's talk about what the response was once you took that final product out there.
It's funny, when I started filmmaking out of desperation, I was trying to find more motivation for my sponsors to want to work with our events. 2008, the market crashed, there's no money, nobody's spending money, so we'll do a little film here and there for the internet, blah, blah, blah. We produced our first feature film, Expedition Adventure, which was a 90-minute feature about a team that raced. We followed throughout the season, and it got picked up. It was challenging to get it picked up. Nobody would return calls. The big networks. In this case, we got an immediate callback from NBC Universal Sports Network, who not only thinks it's a great film about a great sport, but also an important film. So that was inspiring, and now we're talking with other networks as well. Really focused on global distribution. And, when you have millions and hundreds of millions of eyes all over the world looking at this film, they're going to get in a plane, a lot of them, and come to Belize for the first time. That's important to everybody. That's important to the person that has a restaurant, that has a gas station, that has a bed and breakfast, that does what these folks do. And that's an immediate impact that, like I said, we won't know the measure of that for a very long time.
Right, and we've shared it not only with the racers who were here, we've shared it with their families, we've shared it with, we've had a couple of small premieres just within our local network at home, and the reaction is always the same to the film, and it's one of just complete inspiration. And again, I think, to go back to what we were talking about before, everyone expects it to be a film about an adventure race. They expect it to be a film about a race. And they are completely surprised when they find out that it's not. It's not about the race. It's about something much bigger and much more important, and something that touches all of us in a much deeper way than just a competition. It goes much deeper than that. And so that's where we take a lot of pride in the vision that we saw coming to life.
Now, obviously, based on your response to that particular question, one of the things is it's easy to replicate a race.
Right.
How do you replicate this, this feeling and everything else that you've managed to generate with this first undertaking?
The key was, this was the key, to integrate the filmmakers of Philion from the very beginning with the whole process, so that they were with Raphael, spending regular time with Raphael. They were in the forest with us. They were traveling out and seeing these things as we were seeing them. So they had a personal stake in the whole process. And the story, as it evolves, is completely of their doing. I'm not a filmmaker by trade. This is something that I do to inspire people. But the true talent was the guys behind the camera and the editor, who knew Rafi from a personal perspective. That was critical.
And as you prepare for 2016 challenge, I mean, you just got over this hurdle of getting the film, but you were pretty much, I'd imagine at this point in the planning phase for 2016. What made you decide to keep the challenge here in Belize?
Well, the biggest thing is there's just so much. There's so much wild wilderness here, and we have a great foundation that takes time to build. So in the first experience, we had to develop relationships with Raphael, with the Nietzsche, with the Bureau of Forestry, and so on and so forth. Now we have these relationships developed. We build trust, which is important. And now we can really focus on making this a premier world-class event. And that's our goal, really.
So you're looking for challenges now for 2016?
Yeah.
And you're being the guinea pigs right now as well, too?
Yes.
We are at his mercy.
So you're going to trek to the highest point.
Yes, we're going to get out there and get around the back wilderness and see what we can find.
So when will it be aired?
It's going to premiere Sunday, March 29th on NBC Universal Sports Network in the States. And, hopefully on this network as well, locally. That'll be up to the folks who do programming here. But we're happy to share it with the people of Belize. It's our gift to them, and it's a way of saying thank you for all the kindness that's been demonstrated along the way.
And if they're brave Belizean teams who want to participate
Come and
in the
get it.
2016 Adventure Challenge, they have to sign up now.
Yeah.
And be a part. But I'm a little bit scared because when you say the Rangers found it a bit difficult, I don't know. It's going to take, but they have a whole year to train, don't they?
That's right.
All right. Any final words, guys?
Well, listening to all of this here, so it was really inspiring when I saw the film, and like Hit Dog said, we have the Chickabu Cave System in House Chen, the highest point, known as Does Light, but we have another Mayan name with Apute, and so this is one of the areas they want to visit. So tomorrow, hopefully we're heading back to the Chickabu to run some of these trails and navigate there for them to have a look at what the Chickabu has to offer. And he said there's so much out there.
Yeah.
So we see some tomorrow, and then there's still some more for the following race, and it just goes on and on. So the Chickabu is full with all of these natural beauties that they could always use in their adventure race.
We wish you all the best on scouting and doing everything for 2016, and we definitely look forward to seeing what 2014 shaped up to be like.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us
Thank
this
you very
morning.
much. Appreciate it.
All right.
We're going to go ahead and take a break, and when we come back, we'll be talking about the Street Art Festival 2015. So stay tuned.